Board, you are free to go.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Marcus Green, and I'm a senior software developer for Catalyst IT Europe. And this is what I'm going to tell you this evening. I'm going to tell you what I do and why. I'm going to talk about my two question types, that is gap fill and word select. And I'm actually going to start off talking a bit about ease of use, which is something that drives and motivates me. So who am I? I've been e-learning since the dawn of Moodle time, around about the early 2000s. In the mid-90s, I did a distance learning course at Charles Sturt University, but I was based in Sydney, a long way away. And we used an online thing there. But the experience was so disappointing that I thought I could do a better job of creating an easy-to-use system. And I wasn't a programmer at the time. But this set me off on a rest of life mission, and that mission is to create free libre learning tools. And I say free libre because the word free can be about money, but I'm interested in freedom as well as free beer. And one of my principles, this is about, it's not just about, it's nice that if things are free, but they've got to be usable. And one of the principles that drives me is summed up by that book in the right-hand side of the screen there, which says, "Don't make me think." By the way, if you're into web design, and I'm not, I'm a terrible web designer, it's a really good book. But for me, the key thing is actually the title, and that is "Don't Make Me Think," because thinking is hard. And by thinking, I mean exploring new ideas. And as teachers and educators, we're trying to get people to do that. But we know that that's an uphill struggle. And whenever you present people with new information, you can sort of see that thing that says, "Oh, please, don't make me think." Okay. And to talk further about ease of use, a great thinker about interface design and usability, a man called Alan Kay, who was at Xerox PARC, and was thinking about this before the graphical user interface. He was one of the inventors of the graphical user interface, said, "Simple things should be simple. Complex things should be possible." Now, he invented the graphical user interface, so he knew about this. And another great thinker about interface designs called Marcus Green said that the Moodle core close question types makes simple things really complex, just the basics. Hard things are incomprehensible, even to a programmer who's highly motivated like me. So in May 2012, the year of the Olympics, yes, I posted in the Moodle forums, and you can still find this there. I said, the syntax for creating the close or embedded answers question type in Moodle is complex, which may discourage, I was being mild there, teachers from using it. For example, the sample question on the help page is, and I'm going to count out some things now, I'm going to say, open curly brace, 1, short answer, got to be uppercase by the way, equals, then the word, we'll look at that, Berlin. So you've got 7, well, I said 6 items there, arguably 7 items of syntax. And I proposed that a new question type where you only needed to know 2 items of punctuation. So that equivalent question would be, open square brace, Berlin is the capital city of Germany. So 2 items of syntax. I even gave it a logo eventually. So my elevator pitch, and you know, elevator pitch, the classic one is producer gets into a lift with somebody with the money, and he looks at him and he says, DeVito, Schwarzenegger, twins, you know, something you can really, is that all you need to learn to use and to be productive with this question type, you need to learn 1 7-word sentence, and that will tell you everything that you need for the basics. And if you can't learn 1 7-word sentence, well, so the pitch is put square braces around the missing words, okay? 7 words, 2 bits of syntax. The cat sat on the mat, open brackets, close brackets. Can you learn that? I think so. And I released version 1 in November 2012. I was away on holiday in the summer and I was working on the programming. And in the first year, I got 300 installations. And I do remember at the time somebody said, well, how do you make money out of it? And I was like, well, that's not really the point. And since then, there have been 33 releases or updates. And the reason I mention that is that they are bug fixes, feature requests, or features that I've added to it. And that this is a well-supported plugin. It's okay. So it's become even more popular still. This is a screenshot I took recently. You can see that there's just under approximately 4,000, at least 4,000 sites using it. I happen to know that I believe there's a country where it's on every Moodle installation. It's also one of the most commonly downloaded. It's the second, recently, it's the most second most popular downloaded question type. Now, for people in the UK, here's one I made earlier. Okay, so I've got a bit of animation going on here. Okay, kill the sound effect. Are these sound effects people? Thank you very much. So I've got an animation going on here. This is the plain example of it. The words that have the square braces around them become the options to drag. I've also put in some distractors there. You drag, you click, and it gives feedback. That is the very basic version of using this question type. But if you make a copy of it and then click one checkbox, it becomes the slightly harder to use version of it without any clues or draggables. As I was saying earlier, that people requested features, and one of the things about learning this kind of question type is it's nice if any clues or feedback is given to the user close to where they're focusing. And you can see here that this is testing if you know that what sort of things that cats might sit on. If this is a terrible example, cat sat on mat is a terrible example, but I've been using it for 12 years, so I can't get away from it. Now, you see here, I said, the bat sat on the mat. Bat is incorrect, but cat is. And it says, you clearly know your domestic soft furnishings. And it shows up that up in green. And if you hold your mouse over it, it will show that it's correct. It's not purely dependent on the color there. So that is per gap feedback. So as I was referring earlier on, it makes it very easy. I call it 2 for the price of 1. You create one question that's easy because it's got draggable options, and then you check a box and the draggables disappear and you just have to type into the box. So that's a relatively easy one. The cat, something on the mat, on the cow, something over the moon. You possibly know the answer to that, I hope. Maybe this is culturally specific. And then you put the tricky one in there, and there are no clues to drag into there. So that's the pitch for the really anybody can learn how to use this. In actual fact, it's a really good question type to use with the student quiz plugin. If you haven't tried that, go and have a look at that later on, which is brilliant. But anyway, what you're seeing here at the moment is what I call categories. And to do this, you have to know how to create an HTML table. It would be nicer if there was some kind of wizard to do this, and I've often thought about that. And if anybody would like to approach my employers with some funding, that'd be delightful. So so you can see here that you've got categories. You've got feline and canine, and here are the things that you can drag in. And you can see that feline lion, yeah, feline tiger, yeah, canine dog. Wait a minute, look over on the side of the screen. That person got 4 marks, but they left the gap blank. How is that? Well, there was no appropriate, there's no correct answer. Now, I'm never quite sure. I like this feature, but at the same time, I think perhaps students would feel a little bit cheated by it, or are you just rigorously examining their knowledge? I'd be very interested to see what people say about that. Now, if you've ever seen anybody try to create this kind of question previously, you might be thinking, well, it's all very clever that they dragged lion into the first gap and tiger into the second one. But what if the person dragged in tiger into the first one and lion in the second one? Good news is either is acceptable and both would get the appropriate number of marks. As I say, if people are asking questions in the chat now, I'm curious to know what you think about that correct empty gaps capability. This is another one where you do need to create a little bit of HTML. This is a bit of crossword, just for fun, showing some of the flexibility. I'd be also interested in anybody who's got any other novel ways of using this that I haven't thought of. So you can see here, 3 across, capital city of the UK. Let's have a look. That'll be London. 4, grape-based alcoholic drink. That'll be wine. That's 4 across. Down, 2, celestial body visited by Apollo 11, but not 13. That will be the moon. Number 1, melody, part of the song, rhymes with 2 down. Well, it's not June. It must be tune. You knew the answers are already there. So that's one of the capabilities. Now, what about word select? Word select was created after gap fill, and because I was trying to think of a way of modifying gap fill to do this, but in the end I decided it needed an entirely different question type. So the idea is that the user selects the words from the presented text. As you can guess, very easy to create. What you do in this context is you put square braces around the correct words. So here's an example of one of these questions in action. We've got a passage of text about William Shakespeare, the Bard, and we've got a sequence of questions. And the first question is, what was the year of Shakespeare's birth? Now, to know the answer of this, you have to be familiar enough with English to know that the word born and birth go together. And you can see the second selected thing is there. He was born in 1564. So this is really easy to use because all you've got to do is get a passage of text with a bunch of questions and put square braces around the correct words. So again, this quickly became popular. It's just got under 1,500 installations. It was picked up by the UK Open University, which I felt like I was an A-level student who'd been contacted by Stephen Hawking for help with to help him with physics. I got some funding from Shizuoka University in Japan, and it got a lovely review at Moodle.com, which made me very happy indeed. Both the question types have been translated into multiple languages. There are more to come. So if anybody can see a language they speak and they would translate, you would make me a very happy person. It gets badges. We like badges, don't we? I emphasize this is GPL. This is free software. I've been complimented on the quality of the documentation that comes with it. And the badges are to do with each time a new version of Moodle is released, there's what they call an early bird badge. In other words, you confirm that it is compatible with the version of Moodle that's about to come out, and they give you a badge shortly afterwards. It works with the mobile app. And here's a little secret thing that not many people have noticed, and I'd be very interested in getting people's feedback, and that is that it ships with a bank of just over 1,000 example questions. This is if we put the examples that come with gap fill and the examples that come with word select, you get about 1,000 questions. These are English language, your non-human English language, and they're broken into categories and they're given tags. So it's a nice example of how you can organize your questions. And if you happen to be teaching English, you might actually find the questions useful. That's me, ladies and gentlemen. That is the gap fill and the word select question type. I'll be interested to see what you think of it.
That was amazing, Marcus. Thanks so much.
Lovely. So I'll go into oh, I stopped sharing. I've stopped sharing, haven't I? So you see my beautiful face. Let's see what it says in a friend of mine. Come on, somebody ask me a question. Oh yeah. Okay.
There is, I think we have time for one question. There's one question here from Janice. Does select words allow for phrases of sentences or single words only?
That's a good question. It is possible to, and it ships with an example of this is you can have it. It works slightly differently, but the short answer is yes, but it works slightly differently. It gives you an indicator of the block of text that can be selected. But it's in the documentation that and with some screenshots as examples of that.
Unfortunately, I think that's all the time we have.
No worries. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you very much, Marcus.
I shall exit this being the host here. Okay, bye-bye for now.